Hello there and good evening. Today I would like to show you a few of my knitted projects that I have done in the past and talk a little bit about how I've done them. So these, as you can see, are Irish cable knit vests. I very much like how this pattern looks of Irish cable knit with the cables and then the straight and then cable straight with the few purl stitches in between in order to show the difference between the cables and the straight. Now in this one I made the straight stitches to be exactly half of the amount of the cable stitches. So I did 6 straight ones and 12 for each cable. And I think that comes out to look very nicely proportioned with the cable being double the size of the straight stitches. This vest was made with very thin yarn and very thin needles, and so it was a lot of stitches for each place. But on the other hand, this one was made with much thicker yarn and thicker needles, and so here I did only 5 stitches for the straight and 8 stitches for the cable. As you can see here, they look about the same size, even though this one should be bigger than this, but it does look about the same size, and personally I prefer when the straight ones are a little bit smaller than the cables, not as wide. But this came out very nice too. This vest I made a ribbing bottom and ribbing by the sides, and I made it a V-neck. And this one I did exactly the same, ribbing, cables, ribbing by the sides, but I made it a rounded neck, as you can see. And on this one I made the outline 1 knit 1 purl, same as here, 1 knit 1 purl, and for the V. Now I do think it was a little bit of a mistake to do 1 knit 1 purl over here. As you could see, the ribbing looks a little bit wider than the vest itself, but that's just because in this design it's very tightened to it in itself, but when it's worn and it's a bit stretched out, then it looks fine. So these are my cable knits. I have another one that I made. This one I made the same amount for the lines and for the cables. As you can see, the lines came out much thicker than the width of the cables, and personally I don't like that too much, but it looks nice anyway. Now this I made with 100% acrylic, and in the wash, as you can see, it became very wide and a bit too loose, but maybe I could add an elastic on the bottom and maybe that'll save it. Now I would like to show you a different pattern that I made called Aran cable knitting. This one is made with the in-between stitches purls, and then I made here cable and then more purl stitches, and here I made an Aran diamond, and inside of the diamond I made seed stitch, which is 1 knit 1 purl. Let me show it to you closely. Here. This one I made in the round, and over here I separated for the sleeves and then added the sleeves afterwards, picking up the stitches, and I made the sleeves in Stockinette, and I think it came out looking pretty good. I do plan on doing another Aran sweater, but I do want to try it raglan. If you've seen my previous videos, you know that I very much like the raglan style, and so I do want to try making it. Should be also raglan and also with all these designs coming up, so that needs a little bit of calculations and figuring out to do, and I hope to get to that someday. Another design that I did was checkerboard, but of only one color, doing knits and purls. As you can see, I believe this is 4 stitches, 4 knits, 4 purls, 4 knits, 4 purls, 4 rows, and then switch, and that's how it came out, this very nice checkered pattern. On this one I made the button band and the collar and the sleeves. I made it in garter stitch, and on the bottom I made 1 knit 1 purl ribbing. Another thing that I made with this pattern is this baby onesie, as you can see here, and I did it again for this one. I did 3, I believe, yes, 3 knit, 3 purl, 3 knit, 3 purl. I believe I did this 4 rows down, and so as you can see, these are a drop more square than this one, because here I did the same amount of rows as stitches, and here I did 1 extra row and it came out more square. This one I made with a hoodie with garter stitch around, and it closes with tic tacs. Here's another sweater that I made using a checkerboard pattern, but this one was made using Fair Isle, as you can see here in the back, where you pull over the thread from one square to another, and so it came out very thick, nice and warm. And this I made all in garter stitch. This one, when I came to the sleeves, instead of making 2 sides for the sleeves and the back and then picking up stitches, I simply added stitches over here and then went back and forth, then did the other side and the back, and that's how I did this one, and made a garter stitch for the buttons with buttonholes going all the way down. Now here is something that I made using regular stockinette stitch, but the yarn that I used had in it to make this very nice design. And here's another one, that the yarn itself has color in it, and so I don't even need to change. I just do regular stockinette and it makes a very nice colors, or in this case a design. Another vest that I made, this one was using 2 colors and making stripes. Now how do I usually decide if I want to make a design like this one or like this one, or if I just want to do regular stockinette stitch? So usually what helps me to decide is depending what yarn I have. If I have a yarn that's a solid color and I want to use only 1 color, then I want to make it more interesting, and so I'll make a design, cables, or like this one, an Aran or seed stitch or something more interesting. If I'm using a yarn that already has color in it, then I'll just do a regular stockinette stitch and let the colors and the design that the yarn itself has to let it shine and see the colors. This is just my opinion, but I think that if you do a colorful yarn with cables or something like that, then neither the cables nor the yarn itself has their turn to shine, because they're both together and then you can't really pay attention to either of them. For example, this one that I made. So here you could see that there is a design, but it doesn't really shine out. If I would have made this on solid color, for example this one, then you could see the design much stronger. And if I would have made this one in regular stockinette, I think we would have seen the colors that's in this yarn much better and much nicer. So that's usually how I'll make my decision of what design to use. If I have a colorful yarn, I'll usually do it in regular stockinette, like this one and like this one. And if I have a solid yarn, I'll either make it all in one color with either a cable or something like that, Or if I have a few colors that I want to use, I'll make either stripes or half and half, like this one. The half and half could go also with cables and also with stockinette, in my opinion, because then it's not too much color work going on, and it's enough to see both the colors and also the design that I want to make on it. So there you have a little peek at some of the clothing that I made and how I made them. I hope you enjoyed. All the best.